Breaking news out of Las Vegas: the Raiders had their chance to make a statement under the bright lights of Monday Night Football, but instead, they walked off the field with more questions than answers after a crushing 20-9 loss to the Chargers. Raider Nation, this game wasn't just about the score, it exposed serious problems that could define the season if things don't change fast. Before we break down the latest news, make sure to subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, and hit the bell icon so you never miss any breaking Raiders updates. Let's move on to the new story. The Raiders' biggest problem on Monday night wasn't effort, it was execution. For all the talent on this roster, the physical edge at the line of scrimmage just wasn't there. Time after time, short yardage situations slipped away. On 2nd and 1 or 3rd and 1, instead of leaning on their backs like Ashton, Jeanty or Zamir White, the Raiders had Geno Smith sneaking just to pick up a single yard. That's not how a power offense should operate. Even when the Raiders moved the ball, the results weren't enough. A 19-play drive stretched over 11 minutes, but it ended in nothing more than a field goal. That single series summed up the entire night, long, grinding possessions with no payoff. Jakobi Meyers worked hard with 6 catches for 68 yards, but he was targeted a dozen times and never broke the game open. Brock Bowers fought through a knee injury to make 5 grabs, but he clearly wasn't his usual explosive self. Instead of being a game-changer, he was more of a decoy. The defense held their ground at times, but one critical mistake before halftime shifted the momentum for good. Miscommunication between Caillou Blue Kelly and Isaiah Polamau left the secondary exposed, and Quentin Johnston burned them with a 60-yard touchdown. With the Chargers set to get the ball back to start the second half, that play felt like the dagger. From that point on, the Raiders couldn't find rhythm. Their offense lacked balance, the run game never found its footing, and the line failed to control the trenches. It was a reminder that while this team showed promise against the Patriots, the Chargers revealed how far the Raiders still need to go. One of the most frustrating parts of this game was how the Raiders handled their run game. Ashton Jeanty finally started to build some momentum in the second quarter, 2 solid runs for chunk yardage and a short catch to move the chains. But just as he got rolling, the coaches pulled him off the field. That stop-and-start approach never let him wear down the defense. Jeanty is a true volume back, the kind of runner who gets stronger the more you feed him. 11 carries simply isn't enough. Zamir White, who showed flashes in training camp, hasn't delivered early in the season. He looks uncomfortable in the zone blocking scheme, and his limited touches haven't provided much spark. If things don't change quickly, the Raiders may need to give Raheem Mostert a real look as the number 2 option behind Jeanty. Inside the locker room, the tone was serious but honest. Players like Jeanty, Jakobi Meyers, Jeremy Chinn, Caillou Blue Kelly, and Maxx Crosby all spoke about the frustrations of the night. The message was clear: this wasn't just a bad offensive outing, it was a failure to finish drives. Field goals instead of touchdowns. Missed chances instead of momentum. Defensively, the Raiders actually did enough to give themselves a shot. Holding Justin Herbert and the Chargers to just 20 points on their home field is no small task. But when your offense only answers with 9, it doesn't matter how hard the defense fights. And once again, all eyes turn back to Ashton Jeanty. Raider Nation has been waiting to see him unleashed, but until he gets the consistent workload he needs, that breakout performance will have to wait. Ashton Jeanty continues to shoulder the responsibility for the Raiders' stagnant run game, even after showing flashes of what he can bring. Against the Chargers, he carried the ball 11 times for 43 yards, better than last week, but still far from the impact Raider Nation has been waiting for. Inside the locker room, Jeanty didn't dodge accountability. He admitted he missed a couple of reads, went the wrong way on one play, and could have broken off bigger gains if he'd trusted his vision. To his credit, he was clear: the offensive line opened lanes, and he has to be the one to capitalize. But there were also glimpses of why the Raiders believe in him. The truck stick run. The spin move in traffic. Those flashes show a back getting more comfortable with the speed of the NFL. Jeanty himself admitted the game is slowing down for him week by week. He knows he's a volume runner, the type who gets stronger with 15 to 20 carries, but he's also determined to earn every touch by proving he can protect the quarterback and handle the details coaches demand. One of the most striking sights after the game was Marshawn Lynch, yes, beast mode himself, spending time with Jeanty in the locker room. Lynch's advice was simple but powerful: master the small things, run through defenders with authority, and keep pushing to elevate every part of his game. For a young back trying to establish himself, that kind of mentorship could be invaluable. For the Raiders, the message is clear. They don't just need effort, they need consistency. If Jeanty can cut out the small mistakes and stack those flashes into full drives, he has the talent to become the game changer this offense is missing. The offense never found its rhythm. Every yard felt like a battle. Even when Jakobi Meyers slipped past defenders, the plays rarely gained more than a handful of yards. That tells the whole story: moving the ball was exhausting, and finishing drives seemed impossible. After the game, Meyers was calm but direct. He admitted the Chargers kept everything in front of them, forcing the Raiders into long, grinding drives that too often stalled out. "We'll see them again," he said, confident this unit will bounce back. He pointed out that it's still early in the season, and the offense is laying its foundation. "If this loss defined our season, then we'd be in trouble, but it won't." What stood out most was his accountability. Meyers said he left plays on the field, that he needs to finish stronger, make tougher catches, and set the tone for this team. That kind of leadership matters, especially when the offense is struggling to find consistency. On the other side of the ball, safety Jeremy Chinn was everywhere: 6 tackles, a stop in the backfield, even a pass breakup. He admitted the Raiders' defense did its job against the run, holding the Chargers' backs to minimal yards. The problem, once again, was Justin Herbert. His ability to extend plays and stretch the field tested the Raiders all night. Chinn was clear: the defense has to turn solid play into game-changing takeaways. "This game is decided by turnovers," he said. "We've got to find ways to get the ball back." That was the theme in the locker room: Meyers stressing execution on offense, Chinn pushing for takeaways on defense. The Raiders know they're close, but close doesn't win games in the NFL. That dagger came right before halftime: Justin Herbert strike to Quentin Johnston that split the secondary wide open. It felt like the knockout blow, and the Raiders never fully recovered. The final score, 20-9, told the story. Defense gave them a chance, but the offense couldn't answer. Inside the locker room, the frustration was clear. Players admitted the team got out-hit and out-executed. The defense did its job, holding one of the league's top offenses to just 20 points, but blown coverage and missed opportunities made the margin feel wider. The real issue was up front. The offensive line couldn't hold long enough for the quarterback to settle, and the run game never got a chance to balance things out. Ashton Jeanty needed more touches, Brock Bowers barely factored in, and the passing game was smothered by relentless pressure. Still, no one in the locker room made excuses. Veterans like Jakobi Meyers and Maxx Crosby reminded everyone, it's only week 2. The Raiders know they're not where they want to be yet, but the message was simple: learn from this, fix it fast, and move forward. Washington is next, and this team doesn't have time to dwell. The Chargers exposed weaknesses, yes, but the Raiders also showed resilience. Now the question is whether they can close the gap before these two teams meet again later this season. Fans can talk all day about trading for stars, but that's not where the Raiders are right now. This team doesn't need panic moves, it needs discipline, growth, and execution. The real fix starts with getting the offensive line stable and cutting down on mistakes. One thing that has to change is decision-making in the passing game. Too often, throws turned into 50-50 jump balls when safer options were available underneath. That aggressiveness looks good when it works, but against a defense like the Chargers, it backfires. On one critical play, Meyers was double-covered across the middle while Dante Thornton had a clean one-on-one matchup on the outside, yet the ball still went into traffic, ending in an interception. Those are the choices that swing games. But here's the reality: this is just one loss. The locker room knows it. Players like Jakobi Meyers and Dante Thornton said it best: if your whole season gets defined by week 2, you've already got bigger problems. What matters is how the Raiders respond. They now turn the page to Washington. It's a short week, another road trip, and another test. The Commanders' defense has shown cracks, and their quarterback situation is unsettled, but that doesn't make it easy. The Raiders have to flush the frustration from Monday night, study the tape, and come back sharper. And above all else, the offense has to finish drives. Long, methodical marches down the field mean nothing if they stall out for 3 points. Red zone execution will decide whether this team just hangs around in games or finally makes the leap to controlling them. This loss had a familiar sting, but there were still positives, especially on defense. The unit battled, created chances, and even gave the offense the ball near midfield after mistakes by the Chargers. But the Raiders couldn't capitalize, and that's what really stung. The biggest missed opportunity came on the ground. Las Vegas got away from the run far too early, putting too much on the quarterback's shoulders. Ashton Jeanty finished with just 11 carries, when what the Raiders needed was a steady diet of 20-plus touches to wear the defense down. He was starting to build a rhythm, but instead the game shifted back to forced throws and stalled drives. 2nd and 1 in the third quarter summed it up perfectly. Instead of leaning on the run to move the chains, the Raiders went deep, then lost yards on the next snap. That drive, like too many others, died before it ever reached the red zone. The truth is, Jeanty not only needs more carries, but also more polish in blitz pickup and urgency when the pocket collapses. Protecting the quarterback is part of his job, and he'll grow into that role with reps, but this offense has to give him the chance to impose his will, because when defensive linemen start sucking wind late in games, that's when you finish teams off. Right now, the Raiders are caught in between, not enough rushing yards, not enough passing yards, and too few touchdowns. Field goals can't be the identity. If this team wants to grow, it starts with balance, pound the ball, set up play action, and finally punch drives into the end zone.